What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it again with another tier list, and this time it is going to be for all of the bosses, all of the main bosses anyway, from Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Now, I have played through the game multiple times. That being said, I personally have not done the boss gauntlets when they added it. But otherwise, I've played through the game many times. So there are 3 bosses on here, which I know are from that gauntlet, and I have not played. So I'm just going to save those for the end and just not really put them anywhere. But, yeah, man. This is a game that I feel is probably From Software's my personal second best overall game, and by far their best combat. No other game that they've made has combat that even comes close, really. I think Bloodborne's their second best, and it's a far cry away from it. Bloodborne's much closer to Dark Souls than it is closer to Sekiro in terms of like how good it is. Yeah, let's get into it. I notice a lot of my videos are like 40 minutes. I'm trying not to make them too long when I'm doing these kind of tier lists, but luckily there's not that many bosses in Sekiro. So let's first go ahead and start with the Headless guys, because, well, essentially they're all more or less the same, unless you want to talk about the ones that are underwater, so the fights end up being a little bit different. I'll be honest, I don't remember which ones are, but they're all kind of the same deal. I think they're okay, but once you really know what you're doing, and, you know, you just kind of like Divine Confetti, and then just kind of all that kind of stuff, they're really simple and basic. So much so that I actually think they are D tier. They're probably my least favorite fights out of all of the guys, out of all the Headless guys. I think they're my least favorite. You know, the very first time you play the game and you come across them, you're like, oh my god, these guys are insane. You know, they're like these just random dudes you encounter, and they're like hella hard. Not really. They're really not hard. They're extremely simple. I would rank the underwater ones a little bit higher just because they are a little bit harder to fight. But I'll be honest, I don't remember which one's which. So bear with me on that. Let me know in the comments below which one is which. That being said, it would still be D tier for me. Now, what's the first like main boss you really fight? Kind of depends on how you play the game, right? The very first time I played Sekiro, Lady Butterfly was the very first like real boss. I wonder if he's on this list. Okay, so this list only has like the main bosses that have the the things where you can upgrade. But so it could be Lady Butterfly, or which the boss I think it's supposed to be is Gyoubu. I'm putting Gyoubu at an A. Some people might think this is crazy because he's honestly kind of a BS fight, but here's why. Sekiro is very different than From Software's other games that they've done. Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring after. It's quite different. I mean, you got the grappling hook, and this fight utilizes, if you're going to do the fight properly, or not properly, I don't know, a way that feels badass. Especially at that point in the game, if he's the first like main boss you fight, you're going to be, you know, doing the grappling, you know, the launching towards him and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was an extremely engaging fight. I think it's a lot of fun, especially if you're able to like start parrying and deflecting properly. He is one of the fights you are going to utilize dodging as well, because a lot of bosses in Sekiro, dodging is actually like a bad thing to do. I mean, we're all conditioned from Souls games, like dodge, or whatever. You really only want to dodge. There's only certain bosses I feel like that dodging is actually more effective than parrying. Otherwise, you kind of parry almost everything. You pretty much like 90% of everything in this game, you're going to parry. This is one of the fights that you probably will do some dodging, though. Gyoubu's sick, man. Especially his war cry when he comes busting in, you know, because it's a pretty big arena. It's pretty fun. Now, depending on if you keep going that route, I know it's not on this list, but you fighting the bull, which a lot of people think the bull is bullshit. Which, to be fair, I kind of think the bull is bullshit, but it's not on the list. So I'm going to go ahead and actually drop it now next to Lady Butterfly. I think Lady Butterfly is an S tier fight. Here's why. She was the first major boss that I ever fought the first time I played through the game. I didn't go the route of progressing. The first time you fight like the troll, cage troll or whatever that's locked up. I didn't go that way because you can go into the memory instead and go that route and then progress through that way, and all of that you'll end up with fighting Lady Butterfly. She is very hard if it's your first boss. You know, you never play the game, you're still kind of like getting your feet wet in Sekiro, and then bam, you're hitting a wall with Lady Butterfly. But even once, you know, multiple playthroughs later, you know how to fight her, you feel like you're already a god at the game and all that. She's still an extremely fun fight. And I'm going to be saying this a lot with a lot of these bosses because, let's face it, Sekiro combat is the best. Multi-phase fight. There's a lot of different techniques you can do. There's ways to counter and deflect everything that she does. There's things that the game does to try to help you with the illusions. The seed things, right? That one of the guys gives you right before you fight her for the first time. With the illusions. Personally, I never really worried about it because you can just kind of like dodge all that shit. But I think she's really, really cool. I love the ability to use the shurikens to knock her down when she's hanging on the wires and things like that. I think the arena's sick. Maybe a little bit with the camera work, you know, behind the pillars. But I mean, that's an unfortunate trait with all the Souls games. And this game is unfortunately no exception with the camera work sometimes, but I think more than all the other games that From Software's put out, I think the camera is the best in this game. And I think one of the reasons why is because 90+% of the bosses in this game are humanoid at some point. Or, not at some point, but they're more or less all human. And generally speaking, in like Dark Souls and all of that, or in Elden Ring, the camera usually works against you when you're fighting giant-ass monsters. And granted, that's a huge draw and a big part of those games. Fighting like big beasts and monsters and things like that. But when you're fighting something a little more human, the camera usually works a lot better. Guess what on Sekiro? Pretty much everything's human, or humanoid, right? So, there's a couple that aren't, but the overwhelming majority are. I think Lady Butterfly is a phenomenal, absolutely amazing fight. But now, let's go ahead and work towards our next bosses. So, I'm going to be honest, I actually don't remember exactly who's next. I think it's Great Shinobi Owl, because it's not Owl Father, because Father that's him in his prime, I think. One of them's the one in his prime. I'm pretty sure Father's the one in prime, and Great Shinobi Owl is not. I'm not going to bother looking it up. It's too much work. It's one of those, and then Genichiro, the first time you fight him, is next. But I think it's Great Shinobi Owl. Both of them are going to be pretty high up there. These are both S tier fights for me. I'm just going to go ahead and rank them both. I want to say it's Father, but the harder one is the better fight because you're fighting him in his prime. His moveset's slightly different and is faster, less downtime, obviously more health, more damage. I'm basically talking about both of them because their movesets are pretty or almost identical if I'm remembering it correctly. But it's extremely punishing. I mean, it's an extremely punishing fight, but again, if you're able to deflect, you can probably counter everything that the boss is doing. It just feels badass. He's got an ass load of arsenal of abilities, which is sick. Even, the easier version, when you're like only like a third way through the game, the first time you come across him, he still has an insane toolkit, which is, in my opinion, really cool. And I like bosses that have a lot of that. And it allows for a lot of like back and forth. It's like, attack, deflect, attack, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, your turn, your turn, my turn kind of thing. And it's just constant back and forth. That's what's really, really fun. Not like, Prime Consort Radon or whatever, where it's just his turn, 20 more times, his turn. Okay, you get one attack, his turn, that sucks. This is a lot more fun. But see, what's great about Sekiro is that, like, okay, if you fail on your deflects or your parries, it can be his turn. But if you play better and you play well and you execute well, then you balance it out, right? It becomes, the better skilled you are, the much easier the fights become, much more satisfying they become. And both of the owl fights are no exception. Now, depending on your ending, you can end the game very early if you would like. Now, most people don't do this, but you're going to do it, obviously, if you... I'm pretty sure it's required for the Platinum Trophy because it's one of the endings. Let's go ahead and do Emma first, because this is a back-to-back boss fight. It would be Emma, the Gentle Blade. I'm going to put her B, and I'm going to put this Isshin B as well, because it's back-to-back. It's okay. These are probably some of the weaker, like, big boss fights. But it's because, this isn't the true ending. This isn't, you aren't supposed to go this route, right? This isn't the real ending of the game. But I love that From Software does this. I love that they put this in the game. I don't think I even did this ending until maybe like my 5th or 6th time playing through the game. Because I was just like, why? This is silly, it's dumb, like, why would I do that? But eventually, you kind of have to. You want to face all the bosses and whatnot. There's really not much to talk about them. They're pretty straightforward for the most part at this point because it's still pretty early on in the game. I don't think they're that difficult either. Honestly, I think Owl was more difficult, and you fight him first, I think. Or maybe you don't fight Owl because you side with Owl. That's right. Okay. I'm crazy. It's been a while since I played the game, clearly. I need to do another playthrough. Yeah, you fight them instead. That's right. Okay. It's coming back to me. But yeah, I don't know. It's okay. Now, let's assume you did it the correct way. You did it the correct way where you side, help these guys out, and, so you fight Owl. The game opens up to being able to go multiple different paths. You can go through the prison and go down into the depths, or you can go towards the mountains and whatnot. Going towards the mountain is going to lead you towards the Great Serpent, the snake thing. There's a lot of mini bosses that you're going to fight along the way, but ultimately you're going to come up against. Shoot, they are like 2 fights. I don't know why they have them separate. It should have been the one thing, but it's this. It's the apes. Because that's where you get like the flower, I think, at the end. You get the flower. And this is a 2-phase boss fight. And the first time anybody plays this game, everybody's like, oh shit. Because you beat the guardian ape. It even says like, you've defeated, just put the victory thing. And then you're probably looking at it and then you just see it rising. Coming back. And you're like, oh shit. Because it's got the sword stuck in its neck. And it rips the sword off. Cuts its own head off. Now it has this. Oh, dude, it's badass. This is actually one of the fights that's humanoid-ish, but it's a big-ass gorilla, dude. So, I think it's a fantastic fight. It's absolutely phenomenal because there is a lot of dodging. There's a lot of trees so you can use to grapple. You can grapple to its head or its body kind of thing. When it goes headless, it has a lot more different moveset, but a lot of great being able to parry a lot of things. When he's still got its head, though, it's like it literally throws shit at you. It literally farts. I'm like, Japan had to put something in the game, you know what I'm saying? But I absolutely love this fight. Okay, I absolutely love it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. So when you go down this way, you're going down this way. There's another way, then you can go, I think, if you're going like upwards, and that's when you're going to end up fighting, man. Well, you can, I want to say it's Folding Monkeys next. Folding Monkeys for me is bottom tier. It's not a real boss fight, but it is one of those things that you got to do. And that's right. When you beat Folding Monkeys, you go and meet the Divine Kid or whatever the hell. Divine Child thing. Yeah, I almost want to put it in awful because it's not really a real fight, you know. It's, you know, once you learn all the 4 monkeys, I think it's 4. Maybe there's 3, 4. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Maybe it's 3. Because one's invisible, one's has like insane hearing, so like no matter what you do, it's just gonna run away. I don't know. I didn't like it because they're not. There's no real boss bar, health bar. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that shit. Corrupted Monk. It gets a high B. This is not the real monk. You fight this guy when you're down in the underwater village area or whatever. Water village thing or whatever. And it's right before you get the... I don't know. You get one of those things and then the giant-ass thing comes down and whatnot. And then you can go up into the sky and then all of that. Okay. Because then basically, you then fight the true monk. The true monk is much better. It's a much better fight. Some people don't like it. Some people I know do not like the true monk fight because it's kind of bullshit. He has... So the regular corrupted monk is just straight up like a humanoid fight. And he's got his staff or whatever. And, you know, you're fighting. Boom, 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 boom. Which is cool. The true monk does the shadows. As well as then final phase. It's got the centipede thing. And then got the thing. You know what I'm talking about. But see, I like it because here's a couple reasons why I think it is a better fight. One, when you're fighting the regular corrupted monk, you're just like in a small little like battle arena. I think just like steps and kind of whatnot, and then that's it. You just fight. You're like in an enclosed area, more or less. The true monk, you're on a bridge, but then you can also grapple to like the trees, which is really cool. There's a way. It's very hard. Maybe they might have patched it out of the game, but way back anyway, you could get hella lucky and you can get free executes, which was so cool. And so you like cheese the boss, which I thought it was just part of the game. So, you know, correct me down below if it's still in the game. Let me know. Or if they did kind of like patch that out where you can just like insta kill the boss more or less. That was always a lot of fun. But I liked the darkness stuff with the shadow things, and then I don't know. I like bosses that have multi phases and they change throughout the fight. But I still feel like it's fair because you can still deflect, you can fight, you know, and just like I said, with a lot of fights, as long as you're executing well, you have plenty of opportunities to do what you need to do in the fight. You know, and that's a huge takeaway from like comparing to like the Elden Ring DLC that came out recently. Man, Sekiro is just badass. So what would be next at this point? Oh, I totally forgot. I skipped the first Genichiro fight. The first Genichiro fight's pretty cool too. I'm gonna put him above the true monk actually, and it's because I think it's a 3-phase fight, or maybe he just has 3 health bars, but it's only 2 phase. I know there's at least 2 phases because then he's gonna start doing the lightning, and you learned how to catch the lightning and then throw it back. Oh my god, dude, that's some badass shit. That's some badass shit. And Genichiro is cool. He's got the bows. He's got his attacks and whatnot. This fight really wants you to utilize the jump, bounce off the heads. You know, it's got... I don't know, man. The fight's got it all. It's up there with... you know, it's not quite up there with owl fights, but it's pretty cool. It's badass. All right. We're almost done. At least based on what's on this list. Divine Dragon. So, Divine Dragon, in my opinion, is S tier in everything except difficulty. So it gets top A tier. It gets the top on the A tier. And the reason why I'm going to put it lower and not S tier, keep in mind, A tier is still very high, okay? Especially when I do have things lower than it. It's, visually, aesthetically, this is like the grandiose fight. This fight is like grandiose on this like immense scale that's like insane. The dragon's like swinging its sword in the air, dodging airwaves and whatnot. You have to jump over airwaves, dodge airwaves. Then you have to like land on the right things and then shoot the things and whatnot. Here's why it doesn't get S tier. 1, it's very easy. And 2, the bullshit phase 1 where you have to like kill the fucking little things and then like mass kill them and whatnot. That's just annoying. It's not fun, really. You know, it's whatever. Because you have to jump, execute, and then it'll, you know, he'll do the full AoE clear, 360 clear thing. I don't know, man. I didn't really care for it. Now, we're basically at the end of the game. But everyone does the optional fight. The Demon of Hatred. I'm sorry, it's C. It's a C tier fight. I would put it lower, but it's still better than these guys. So I can't put it lower. I'm putting it in the C rank. If there was other C bosses, it would definitely be like bottom C tier. The Demon of Hatred somehow got in the wrong game. It's like they designed Demon of Hatred is literally a Bloodborne boss that made it into Sekiro. It's literally what it is. This is a fight that's very difficult to parry, and it's much more easier to just dodge almost all the attacks and beat the boss by draining its health bar rather than executes with the parries and fill in its parry meter or whatever. Visually, it's cool. It looks really cool, you know, but because you're fighting him in Gyoubu's arena and everything. And yes, there's the cheese. Everybody knows the cheese with this guy to get him to kill himself. But it's, I don't know, man. It's like, it's visually cool, but that's pretty much it. Compared to all the other bosses in this game, I think it's honestly one of the shittier ones. And it's hard as fuck. If you try to fight it legit, it's not easy. I think it's more difficult than the final boss. Now, next up, it's going to be Genichiro, Way of Tomoe. This is a required fight. You have to fight him every single time before you fight the final boss. So if you fail on the final boss, you got to fight this dude again. Granted, he's only got 1 health bar. He's pretty easy, you know, but that's why he gets low B, because he's still like, he's kind of cool, like, and whatnot, but he's very, very low HP. So you're not going to, as long as you're playing decently well, it shouldn't be that hard. You know, he has a Mortal Blade type deal, because I think that's what it's called, right? The Black Blade. You know, it has such a tiny hitbox, even though it's massive, and it leaves him wide open. You can get so many hits in. If I'm recalling it right, like, I'm getting him down in probably less than 10 seconds. You know, from the moment that the fight starts to when it's ready to go to fighting the motherfucking Isshin, the Sword Saint, in my opinion, is the greatest From Software final boss that they've ever made. Let me talk about Isshin, the Sword Saint, final boss. This fool rips out of his grandson. I think he's his grandson. Correct me down below if I'm wrong. Genichiro's like top of his shoulder, reaches out of his body, comes out, and then he's like, let's go, dude. You know? Okay, this is a 3-phase boss fight, and each phase is different. Each phase is testing your abilities of what this game has taught you throughout the game. And that's why, that's one of the big reasons why I absolutely love this fight. The game, phase 1, in my opinion, is actually the hardest phase, is testing your abilities of just how well can you parry? How well can you dodge? you know, and what kind of patience do you have to be able to, you know, execute properly? You know, he's honestly not very fast, or well, he is fast, but he doesn't do a lot of moves. Like he'll wait in between attacks, but then when he does attack, it's just boom, 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 and then just wait, boom, 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 boom. But then phase 2, he switches to the spear, and guess what? This game's got the McKitty counter. This game's was trying to shove that down your throat with all the spear mobs, all the spear mini bosses. Now, phase 2 is all about the McKitty counter. McKitty counter and being able to dodge, you know, I keep saying dodge. You're really trying to parry, you know, a lot of these attacks, because now you're fighting a spear guy. First phase, sword guy. Second phase, spear guy. Third phase, he stays with the spear, but now he's also got the lightning. So you're, you know, utilizing that. And not many times does a game's final boss culminate into forcing the player to utilize all the tools that the game has given them throughout their journey of the game to be able to beat this boss. I'm not saying he's the hardest boss of any From Software final bosses. I mean, Prime or Dawn's, in my opinion, significantly more difficult. But as a final boss, he's still very hard, but it's extremely fun. It's extremely satisfying. And the fact that, yeah, like, if you did master all these things while you were playing through the game and you just didn't fumble your way through and kind of cheese a lot of things, this fight's going to be extremely satisfying. In the arena, dude, come on. The arena is sick. It's so cool. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is my tier list of all of the primary main bosses from Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Hit that like, subscribe. You know, I'm going to be trying to do a lot more videos in the future. I've been doing a lot of tier videos, but I'm probably going to start putting up some gameplay stuff of things I'm playing. You know, sometimes I'm not playing these kind of games. I'm playing other kind of games, but yeah. Leave comments down below. Tell me I'm shit, you know, whatever, or my tier list makes no sense, whatever. But, you know, the interaction. All right, guys. Thank you for watching.